You're the strongest female knight in the entire Western Kingdom. You've won every battle, held every line, and earned every scar. And then, for the first time in your life, you lose and your captor doesn't want your death. He wants your hand in marriage. That's the setup for one of the most surprisingly compelling fantasy romances of 2026. Welcome to Adoogez. Let's talk about the warrior princess and the barbaric king. The Warrior Princess and the Barbaric King is a 2026 anime series by Studio adapted from the manga by Noriaki Kotoba, which has been serialized in Kodansha's Basu magazine since January 2021. It's currently streaming on Crunchyroll, simulcasted internationally as it airs in Japan. The story follows Serafina de Lavillant, the most powerful female knight in the West, sent to crush the barbaric tribes of the East. Her campaign fails spectacularly, and she's captured, stripped of her armor, and thrown in a dungeon. Expecting death? Or worse, she gets something entirely different, a marriage proposal from Veor, the barbaric king himself. And here's where the premise gets interesting. Veor isn't what she or you expected. He's composed, deliberate, and genuinely pursuing her rather than claiming her. Serafina, whose entire identity is built on warrior pride and self-determination, has to navigate a situation where every assumption she had about the enemy is being dismantled one unexpected act at a time. Since this is a streaming series, there's no traditional box office to report, but the commercial trajectory of this franchise is genuinely impressive. The manga ran for 10 compiled volumes before the anime adaptation was even announced, and Kodansha brought it to English-speaking markets via manga in 2023, a signal that international demand was already strong before the anime existed. Seven Seas Entertainment also picked it up in print under the title The Barbarian's Bride in late 2024. The anime itself was originally slated for October 2025, but was deliberately delayed to improve production quality, which is either a great sign or a red flag, depending on the studio. When it finally premiered on April 9th, 2026, it landed on Crunchyroll to a fanbase that had been waiting for over a year. That kind of pent-up anticipation is rare, and it matters. What makes this show work is the tension. Serafina isn't some damsel. She's a woman who defined herself entirely through combat and discipline. So when she finds herself attracted to Veor, it doesn't feel like weakness. It feels like a genuine internal conflict between who she's built herself to be and what she's actually starting to feel. That clash between warrior identity and romantic vulnerability is the engine of this entire series. And the show earns that tension properly. Serafina's pride isn't written as stubbornness for comedy. It's written as a deeply ingrained survival mechanism. She was discouraged from knighthood by her own family, had to fight for every inch of her position. And now her greatest fear is being reduced to a trophy. That backstory gives every moment of resistance real emotional weight. The world building here is surprisingly detailed for a romance-verse fantasy. These unrests aren't just set dressing. They have distinct customs, social hierarchies, and value systems that directly shape how the characters behave. What Serafina's kingdom calls barbaric, the Eastern tribes consider honorable, and the show takes that inversion seriously. It doesn't just tell you, it shows you the contrast through small, consistent details. There's a particularly sharp layer to the story when you realize the so-called barbarians are actually more civilized in several key ways than Serafina's homeland. The Western Knights have shining armor and noble titles, and they treated her like a tool. The Eastern King lives in rough-hewn halls and treats her with more genuine respect than anyone she grew up with. That irony isn't subtle, but it lands effectively. Let's talk about Veor, because he's the element of this show that genuinely surprised me. The Barbaric King archetype in fantasy romance is usually one-note dominant, possessive, brooding. Veor is all of those things on the surface, but underneath, he's calculated, patient, and perceptive. He reads Serafina more accurately than she reads herself. That dynamic makes their scenes genuinely compelling rather than just aesthetically pleasing. He's not trying to break her. He's trying to show her that she doesn't have to be armored against everything all the time. And the show is smart enough to make that a slow, earned process rather than a sudden change of heart. When Serafina softens even slightly toward him, it feels justified, not rushed. That restraint in the writing is what separates this from average fantasy romance. Now, let's be honest, this show isn't for everyone, and it does have real weaknesses. The supporting cast is underdeveloped in the early episodes. Several side characters get introduction scenes that feel significant, but then don't get enough follow-through to feel meaningful. In a 10-volume manga compressed into a seasonal anime. That's a pacing trade-off, but it's a noticeable one. There's also a risk for viewers coming in from outside the romance genre. The central dynamic captor and captive building a relationship is a well-worn trope that requires the show to work hard to avoid feeling uncomfortable. For the most part, it does, because Veor's approach to Serafina is consistently respectful within the power imbalance, but viewers who are sensitive to that setup should go in knowing exactly what this is. The Warrior Princess and the Barbaric King is better than it has any right to be. It takes a premise that sounds like pure wish fulfillment and builds something with genuine emotional intelligence underneath it. Serafina is a strong female lead in the truest sense, not just physically, but psychologically complex and worth following. And Veor is the rare male lead in this genre who actually earns his role in the story. I'm giving the Warrior Princess and the Barbaric King a 7.5 out of 10. A well-constructed fantasy romance with more depth than its genre label suggests, held back slightly by a compressed supporting cast. If you've been sleeping on this one, don't. Here's what I want to know from you. Team Serafina staying guarded forever, or Team Veor slowly winning her over? Drop your side in the comments. I genuinely want to see where this community lands. And if you're into reviews that take every genre seriously, no hype, no skipping the hard parts, this is hit subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.